Once again, we return to the world of Pokemon, continuing our journey with Ash Ketchum through his complete adventure from his start in Pallet Town to his ending in, well, I won't spoil it if you haven't seen it. By the time this part of the series comes out, Ash's story has officially come to an end in Japan, and the new anime, Pokemon Horizons, has released. All of this has made this series all that much more nostalgic and fun to work on. Each month, a new part in this multi-part video series releases and details Ash's personal journey through each region and generation of the show. How him and his Pokemon grow and evolve, how his relationships with his travel companions strengthen, and seeing a timeline from Ash's origins all the way until his last moments in the anime. Each part in the series is standalone, so if you haven't been caught up, no worry, check out the playlist linked down below. But today, I'm excited to venture forward onto our next major leg of travel, Generation 3, where it begins as this great reset for Ash Ketchum, starting on his own again to make new friends, new memories, and conquer new challenges that will end up in his way. It's his first time traveling away from any regions that are connected to each other, and we have a whole new slew of Pokemon to meet. Welcome back, or for the first time, to the series. This is the complete guide to Ash's Pokemon journey. When we last saw Ash in the previous part, he was saying his heartfelt goodbyes to both Brock and Misty as they head back to their hometowns to handle their responsibilities. As where Ash felt a bit directionless for a moment. He didn't win the Johto League, and his rivalry with Gary has changed back into a supportive friendship, with Gary being the one to really help him see clearly that it's time to start anew, take a journey to a new region, start fresh by leaving all of your current Pokemon, aside from Pikachu, and taking a boat ride over to the brand new area. While everything seems pretty exciting and this new journey ahead seems great, trouble strikes right at the end as Ash was pulling into the Hoenn region, where on that boat he finds Pikachu becoming extremely ill for mysterious reasons. This is how we were left at the end of the last generation, which seems pretty grim, but a surefire way to keep everyone's attention to bring them back for the newest series. Generation 3 is a big deal for a lot of people, for me as well, but this generation is where a lot of people really jumped on board with Pokemon, having this be some of their earliest memories, or at least this being their first gaming introduction to the franchise as well. Ruby and Sapphire were massive. I remember the hype around the first Game Boy Advance releases for the series. I mean, getting a whole bunch of new Pokemon too is great, but just the looks of this game, the music especially, it was a vibe at the time that was matched by no other. And of course, I will mention Emerald, which came out later, but it being the third game for this generation, it deserves the credit too. And because of this, the word advance was a nice marketing tool. So why not view these new Pokemon games as advanced versions of Pokemon, and boom, you threw on that D at the end there, and you have the perfect naming theme for this generation of the anime, Advanced. All with a brand new theme song, Pokemon Advance premiered, and Ash was looking pretty spiffy in his new digs. Pikachu, however, wasn't looking so good health-wise. So let's go ahead and jump back into the series and see what Pokemon Advanced has in store for our friends here.
Who's that Pokemon? It's Lantern!
So, funny enough, the first episode of this new generation really parallels the start of Pokemon in general, in a lot of ways. First, we see May, a new character we haven't met yet, but it felt like this somewhat of a bridge to the video games, because in the video games, the design and base name of the character there that you can play as is May. Here, she is riding her bike and on her way to the starting town area of Little Root Town, where she is going to meet up with Professor Birch, receive her first Pokemon, and begin her own journey into the grander Pokemon world. But maybe training for Pokemon battles isn't the way she wants to take her adventure, really just for now wanting to take in the whole traveling aspect. We get to see a Duskull right off the bat, which I thought is pretty cool, but it just scares her, causing her to speed off and crash into a tree. But what about our original main character? Ash Ketchum is just getting into town with Pikachu's health at the forefront of his priorities right now, but Little Root Town has one major problem for Ash. There is no Pokemon Center in sight, but luckily there is a professor who should have a lab that can help in the area, Professor Birch. Upon arrival though, he sees that the professor is out of the lab and doing field work, because that's just convenient. Luckily, Joshua here, the lab assistant, reaches out to Birch, who comes speeding back to the lab to see Ash and his Pikachu. When inspecting Pikachu to see what he's going through, we find out that Pikachu is dealing with what is called electric overload, and if an electric Pokemon in this situation doesn't get the immediate help that it needs, well, then they blow up worse than an electrode using self-destruct.
Why? It exploded!
In order to help Pikachu, he would need to be drained of his energy, but the tests and everything aren't working. Pikachu's too built up with energy and he ends up running away, leaving Ash in pursuit of him and Birch following as well because Ash has no other Pokemon, and it's dangerous to head out there with no Pokemon protection. He grabs the Pokeballs for the 3 new starter Pokemon just in case, but these starters were there for May so that she could choose which one she wants for her journey. Yeah, so this can be an issue, slight bit of conflict here, because shortly after this, May arrives at the lab to choose that starter Pokemon that she wants and doesn't want to wait around for Birch to come back, so she heads out in the direction that they went. And now to tie in the start of the video games, Birch here is trapped by himself because of these Poochyena. With May seeing this happening, she reaches into Birch's bag to grab a Pokeball, so whatever Pokemon that comes out can help fend off the wild Poochyena. The ball she grabs after not being sure with her choice ends up being Mudkip, which I heard you like. So May learns quickly what to do. Having Mudkip spray her in the face? Yeah, she's not really good at the whole having a Pokemon yet. Birch helps out with commands for Mudkip, and all the Poochyena run away, leaving Birch very thankful but still needing to find both Ash and Pikachu. So May tags along with Birch on the rest of this whole mess. And speaking of Pikachu, he's going full evil. His eyes are glowing red, he's even attacking Ash. When he approaches, whatever shall we do in this situation? Well, hopefully we can all understand that Pikachu here is in a state of delusion and only is attacking Ash because he thinks he's an enemy threatening him. But Team Rocket shows up this time in a giant battery plug mecha that should protect them from Pikachu's electricity attacks and power themselves up even more. Wait a second, this seems extremely convenient then. So when they start pulling in all this energy from Pikachu, he's only getting stronger. Also, a bolt of electricity shoots out of the way and hits May's bike and fries it. Yeah, that's another parallel for you there. Team Rocket blasts off again, but for the first time of this generation, as they all take Pikachu back to the lab with him no longer being a threat and completely wiped out. Team Rocket really helped out Pikachu here without meaning to, so I guess the day is saved by Team Rocket after all. May gets to meet the full set of new starter Pokemon, being Trico, Torchic, and of course the Mudkip that she already met. But she doesn't end up picking that Mudkip because they didn't mesh well in the Poochyena battle. But hey, neither did Ash and Pikachu at first, but whatever, that's fine, because she ends up choosing Torchic, as she is given all the gear and items that she needs to start her journey. Similar to Misty, May was also ready to let Ash have it regarding her destroyed bike, but holds back when seeing him asleep caring for his Pikachu. Later, these two meet in a very calm way, and Pikachu meets with Torchic, and there seems to be a mutual respect building here between the two trainers, with their Pokemon already becoming friends. And thanks to May's bike being destroyed, she can't really just go on with her journey and leave Ash in the dust, so she asks Ash to tag along with her through Hoenn, and just like that, Ash has already made a new friend and companion in May. We've saved Pikachu, and we've seen a bunch of new Pokemon already. A great way to bring us right into the vibe of this new region, with some familiarity and a whole lot of new. The next step is getting to the first Pokemon Center so that they can register for the Hoenn League, with this being Ash's next big challenge, which when they get to the next stop along the way of their travels, Oldale Town, they are able to get to the Pokemon Center. Ash gets officially registered, and this episode really just becomes a setup for several storylines that we will see. For one, Team Rocket isn't the big baddies over here. Every region from this point on starts getting their own teams of bad people, all with different goals. But for Team Rocket, Jesse and James, they're eternal, with Giovanni having them create their presence of Team Rocket in the Hoenn region. But along with that, we learn about the conflict building between Team Aqua and Team Magma, as at first we meet Team Magma. So there will be a massive conflict that of course our main characters will end up in the middle of at several points, but Ash needs to head to the first gym in Petalburg Town. But before that, what about a Brock episode? Yeah, you heard that right. How about a Brock episode where we glimpse into his life post going back home from the end of Johto, as his mother has returned, and this is all a really cool way to give Brock some nice closure back with his family at the gym where we first met him. But it's not closure because he ends up leaving his Pokemon, missing that sense of adventure over being a gym leader, and gets ready to go and find Ash. He gets some new clothes as well. Of course, we have action figures to sell. Come on, people. So after this really heartfelt goodbye all of 3 episodes ago, Brock is already coming back to the Pokemon anime. But I like that we get some time with him to realize why he wants to do this, and it was cool to see Pokemon make such a different episode. Well, technically this was an episode that takes place in a special side series of Pokemon episodes called Pokemon Chronicles, where outside of Ash we get looks into the lives of other characters. I wanted to make note of the Brock episode specifically, as it is canonically important to the rest of Ash's journey here. But we have episodes on Professor Oak, Team Rocket, and a whole bunch of Misty that focus on her at the Cerulean Gym now truly becoming a gym leader and given the space to become a strong trainer all on her own. In the meantime, Ash and May arrive in Petalburg City, where May gets pretty weird about some questions regarding the gym leader of this city and kind of just wanders off for a bit. Ash of course heads to the gym only to be met by this kid who knows of Ash and critiques him on his battle, specifically with Harrison and his Blaziken from the Johto League. And Ash of course doesn't take the comments too well and demands this kid go and get the real gym leader already, but to Ash's surprise, the kid notes that he is the gym leader, so a battle is about to break out, being a 3-on-3 like usual, like we've seen before. But there's just one problem. Ash only has Pikachu still, but we don't need to worry about that just yet, as May appears and questions the kid about what he's doing, revealing him to not only not be the gym leader, but be her brother, Max. In fact, the gym leader is their father. We get to meet the rest of the family though, with May and Max's mom and dad, as Max is excited to see what Pokemon May has chosen as her starter, where he's a bit of a Trico fanboy, more so than a Torchic one. Ash stays for some lunch and gets to know the family, and of course turns the conversation into wanting some information about Norman, how this battle would actually operate going against him, not being too excited that he needs at least 3 Pokemon for the battle, making note that he doesn't want to send any over through the PC since this was supposed to be a fresh start, but he really hasn't focused on finding any new creatures to befriend. While Norman can't give him an official battle at the moment right there, he decides to offer him a taste of what a match with him would be like with an unofficial battle. A one-on-one that sees Ash's Pikachu taking Norman's Vigoroth head-on. Both Pokemon are very fast, so Ash tries to make sure speed is his key here over any electrical attacks for the most part, but gets defeated pretty quickly in the end. After the battle, they all have to deal with a Team Rocket surprise, one that results in another pit trap, but I like how connected things still feel when Ash tries reaching and calling out for Bayleaf to easily help him out of this situation, but alas, he has to understand that he chose a fresh start. After this whole confrontation, we know that we will be back here for a proper battle to win a badge at some point, but as Ash is going to continue his journey forward with May coming along as well, Max ends up joining in as the group's third, being a knowledgeable companion, and the group heads on to the next city as Ash can then truly start his Hoenn League journey.
What is the final evolution of Totodile? If you chose Feraligatr, you were right!
It doesn't take long for them to all start getting pretty hangry and becoming argumentative as Ash talks about how good Brock was at cooking and essentially nourishing them on previous adventures. Yeah, I'd call that some pretty good foreshadowing. As they begin to figure out how to split up some of these cookies that Max has had in his bag, a Tailo comes flying in and takes them, and naturally, as the food should be the concern here, Ash is more mesmerized by Tailo and of course, wants to capture it. As we get into this whole Tailo debacle here and one Tailo becomes a flock really quickly, they all come swooping in, but out of nowhere a fastball comes flying in and out comes a familiar Forretress, saving our new trio that belongs to none other than Brock himself, showing up in glorious fashion to save the day. Ash is in shock to see Brock in the Hoenn region, as he explains how and why he is there, getting directions to catch up to the group thanks to Professor Birch pointing the way. And officially, Brock joins the group for further travels, so more familiarity with Brock being around, and the group here will get some great meals because of it. That's fantastic. It's crazy to think that Brock at one point was written off the show for a while during the Orange Islands, with his fate in the show kind of up in the air, but now not only appears back after he leaves a second time, but stays on the team once again as a main character, making this new traveling party a solid group of 4. Also, Brock did bring some Pokemon with him after all. Ash still gets engaged into a battle with the Tailo, and more specifically the one that ate all the cookies, as it keeps taking these attacks, but but not backing down. So thanks to Brock's advice to worry about catching it now instead of continuing to battle, Ash catches the Tailo and immediately calls it out to have Brock help heal it back up, as we see Ash pull out that handkerchief that Misty gave him to help clean it up, and having this bird boy look as good as new. As then Tailo gets on Ash's shoulder while they celebrate a new connection between trainer and Pokemon, as well as Ash's first Pokemon catch in the Hoenn region. A bit later during their travels, we run into a bunch of wild Trico, as Ash tries to just catch it off the rip without battling it, so nothing becomes of that wasted Pokeball. But May reminds him what we all know, and what he should know is that one does need to actually battle the Pokemon first in majority of the cases. I like this episode a lot because of a few reasons. One, we get some wild Pokemon lore in the way of seeing all these Trico living at this massive tree in the woods, and seeing how their community among each other actually works, having this dispute between our edgier and moodier Trico that we're focusing on here, and this elder Trico, showing us a look into another lightly touched upon topic here and there, and that's Pokemon aging, especially ones that aren't evolutions. Seeing this Trico, as it's the basic evolution form, but it still has this more wrinkled skin and slower demeanor, showing that it is an older Pokemon. In the end, the Tricos end up figuring out their differences. Ash and Pikachu help out in trying to save their massive tree home, but even in tragedy, there is always a gleam of hope. The tree may be gone, but a new seed rolls out for life to begin anew. The Trico, though, sees this as a sign for his life to begin anew as well, challenging Ash to a battle and ultimately gets caught by him, joining on as a member of the team, giving Ash his 3 Pokemon that he definitely could have needed before, but more importantly, a new friend to grow alongside of. Together, they plant the seed as the other Trico of the woods will watch over it. While we still haven't arrived at our first gym battle yet, we stop at something extremely important to this season, and for a certain character's arc in general, and that's the introduction of Pokemon contests. It's all about style. It's part showing off the Pokemon and their flair, and part battling, with round 1 being a showcase of what the Pokemon can do mixed in with elegance and coordination, and for the second round it becomes a mix of keeping that crafted style while battling. While they are mere observers for this contest, May is extremely interested and is even shown bummed out when not being able to enter this one last minute. This whole thing gives a lot of purpose to May's character going forward, someone who hasn't been too into battling or hasn't had any interest in truly becoming a traditional Pokemon trainer as they figure out what they are into from these contests. Which is nice to have the characters around Ash grow as well on their own and not just in the service of helping Ash grow. Misty and Brock really became their own characters throughout their journey with Ash originally, and even thanks to Chronicles continuing beyond that. So it's nice that right off the bat, not far into this new generation, new characters like May and Max are shown to develop, with their own stories being established very early on. May even catches a Wurmple, which will help lead her in the contest path, as Ash also learns about something new in the world of Pokemon, something that was specifically introduced in the Ruby and Sapphire video games, and that's double battles, having a trainer send out 2 Pokemon to battle 2 other Pokemon, as Ash would face off against this character, Forester Franklin, who teaches Ash all about them, having his Ariados and Yanma face off against Ash's Pikachu and Trico, resulting in Ash actually winning, which is nice to see that as a trainer he has truly been improving and can adapt to new strategies well, with a legacy companion like Pikachu and newer ones like Trico, or so we may think. We'll see soon enough. Continuing from there, we enter Rustboro City, where we end up meeting the gym leader Roxanne, who also doubles as a teacher for the Pokemon Trainers School that helps teach even younger trainers to become very knowledgeable about Pokemon. Of course, Ash is in need of his battle, so that's all he's after, but we get to see Max, who is the youngest of the group, have this interest in the school, especially after seeing Professor Oak speak to the class, in which for Max, that's his idol. Another aspect aside from knowing about Pokemon is how to properly build strategies and how to treat your Pokemon in the battle itself. So Max does have his first battle ever that gets interrupted by Team Rocket, but he learns how to have Pokemon help in an emergency, helping command this Poliwag's attacks and work together with another student that he at first didn't see eye to eye with. And it's nice to see Max learn all about this stuff and have future goals in mind as we now get more detail into how there are many ways and age groups for learning how to prepare for your Pokemon adventure, whatever direction it takes you. Ash has also been hard at work training with Pikachu for his use of Iron Tail, a steel type attack, and at this point feels pretty confident with Pikachu trying to master it, even if it's not all the way there yet, as Ash will finally have his first gym battle in the Hoenn region with Roxanne. She also uses this battle as a teaching lesson for her students, giving them an opportunity to learn, win or lose, how more experienced trainers can be in battle, a useful tool to study from. Unlike for Norman's rules of a 3-on-3, this battle will only be a 2-on-2, with Roxanne sending out a Geodude and Ash using his Trico for the type advantage, which hey, Ash really has learned so much, until Brock mentions that Trico currently doesn't know any grass type attacks, so the type advantage is only in classification. This first battle results in Geodude being a little too fast and powerful for Trico, knocking him out with Pikachu jumping in for the rest of the match. Pikachu and Geodude have at it, with Pikachu taking the win with a thunder attack, which surprises Roxanne as Geodude has never lost to an electric-based attack before. Something interesting to study from for her students watching the recording, and for her to teach. She now sends out Nosepass, one of the weirdest Pokemon to come out of all time. Little do we know that was before we would see the future evolution of it in the next gen. But that's why I love this thing. He's great. Just look at him. Pikachu gets some good shots in and is trying to land a solid Iron Tail attack, but nothing is working as Nosepass is no joke, offering a pretty tough challenge to Pikachu, especially when Nosepass showcases it knows Zap Cannon, an electric attack, flipping the script on Ash for his Pikachu knowing a steel-based attack, having her Rock-type Pokemon knowing an electric-type attack is a surprise. While Pikachu is drained of energy, Ash has Pikachu take a hit from the Zap Cannon directly, as it wouldn't hurt Pikachu. It would only help him by retaining that electrical charge to build up Pikachu's energy, as it then stuns Nosepass, giving Pikachu an open shot to take out the Nosepass with a perfect Iron Tail, fully mastering it and defeating Roxanne in battle. Ash then receives the Stone Badge, his first badge in the Hoenn region and the official start of his Hoenn League conquest. We also get another moment to see some of the Team Aqua versus Team Magma stuff play out, as we had already had a Magma member that we had met earlier, now getting the chance to meet the Aqua Alliance. This will be more important later down the road, but the building blocks of these other bad guy teams are starting to build. We also get the mention of Steven, who is important and someone of note, but at this point in the journey, this is just someone who the characters are going to run into, as they are told by his father that he is a good person for them to know. To get to the next location of where this next gym battle would be, the group must take a boat ride to Dewford Island, as all of the excitement for this second gym battle is trampled, literally, as all of these fangirls rush out of the gym as Brawly, the gym leader, appears, who isn't in a battling mood at the moment, as it's time to hit the waves and surf. And yeah, him and his Makuhita really do be carving those waves. Putting my cringe aside there, Ash eventually gets his battle request, as we learn that Ash still has his overconfidence and ego fully back on, not caring too much for a strategy but going in with strength, having his Tailo rapidly attack his Machoke as it just stoically takes the blows, building up on its own power, allowing Machop to take out the Tailo in one hit. Ash isn't taking advice from his friends to have a better strategy, as he insists on using power attacks to wear out his opponent's Pokemon, but as we just saw, that clearly doesn't work. Trico comes out and follows suit with power at the forefront and edges out a win over Machop. But don't take this as skill on Ash's part of the plan here. While it does have a bit of merit clearly, it is not a solid plan for the end-all be-all of the battle, with Makuhita coming out next, who seismic tosses Trico to a point where it can barely stand, showing just how tough and headstrong this Trico actually is. But this powerful attack from Makuhita causes it to evolve into a Hariyama, who is a lot bigger and a lot more powerful, and for sure too much for this barely standing Trico to take. So Brock tells him to call the match, but of course, Ash doesn't listen, once again putting the goal of winning over the safety and care of his Pokemon, as he sends Trico in for an attack, as Hariyama swiftly takes out the Trico with no effort, leaving Brawly the winner, Ash the loser, and a lesson to be learned, again for like the 10th time. Ash refuses to hear all of that stuff that he should already know from Brock and Nurse Joy, as he tells them to shut up, running out of the room that they're all in. Pikachu catches up with him, and in a more clear and reflected mind, Ash knows that he shouldn't have done that to Trico, even if he felt that they were on the verge of winning this one, mainly due to how he views Brawly being less of a respectable trainer, as he just puts surfing all day ahead of training, rather than understanding that the way that Brawly trains, the reason why he has such strong defenses, calculated maneuvers, and a calm demeanor, it all stems from the way that he does it. It doesn't have to be in the traditional way that Ash believes or sees it so. He overhears Brawly training with his new Hariyama and mentioned that if Ash did have have a level head, things could have been different. Ash knows that he has a lot of training to do, and some personal growth to face, as he apologizes to his friends for his actions as they decide to stay on the island and train to take Brawly on once more. We end up spending some time on the island before we get to this rematch, allowing time for us to breathe for some other fun adventures, give Ash a chance to train and overall just showcase a bunch of new Pokemon. We get to meet that Steven fellow we've heard about, as him and his Aeron are looking for some evolution stones in the Granite Cave. And we get this whole thing with Team Rocket that ends up with Steven sending out his Aggron, the final evolution for Aeron, that is this massive and powerful beast, taking out Team Rocket in a single attack, giving Ash a preview of just how powerful of a trainer Steven is. Steven is an interesting person. He has a deep care of the Pokemon world and is a powerful trainer who just says goodbye after meeting them all to go and look for more evolution stones. We'll probably see him again later. Ash would later encounter a Corphish, another Pokemon that the anime helped me really enjoy, similar to Ash's Krabby to Kingler. Corphish is just cool. Ash thinks so too, based on how fast and powerful it is, putting up a strong battle until Trico helps take him down for Ash to have a chance to catch him. This battle though deployed more strategy from Ash having his Trico build up focus, meditating instead of attacking, using Corphish's weakness of being impatient and territorial against itself, where Trico is able to quick attack then to pound attack combo when it was coming in for a strong attack. His friends note that there was some impressive stuff just shown, and that he is learning and training to be ready for this battle. Brock also then gets a Mudkip, so for once, Ash doesn't have all of the starters. They're dispersed out nicely. We get to also see more of the evil teams each possessing their own special orb, a red one and a blue one, as their conflict grows more interesting and intense in the background of Ash's journey that we sometimes intersect with. Ash eventually meets back up with Brawly and ends up having a match with this one girl, Shauna, who wanted to prove to Brawly that she is worthy to be his apprentice. Ash wins, but Brawly notices two things. One, that Shauna is good, and with the right mentorship could be great, so he asks her to be his apprentice, and two, notices that Ash has improved a lot, added so much more into his mindset towards a battle, and that he is ready to face him once more. Now the battle is about to begin. Brawly sends out his Machop once more, with Ash bringing out Trico first, having a nice strategy of being quick and calm, waiting for the right moment where Trico goes in for a quick attack, but Machop is just becoming more powerful from this, so Ash knows not to have Trico in this situation, recalling him back in his Pokeball, sending out Corphish instead, who is able to keep up with the power of Machop and take it out, leaving the battle up to Brawly's Hariyama. The arena that they are on allows for some good strategies, especially in favor of Corphish here, using this water allowing it to disappear from view, but Hariyama forces it out of the water to then seismic toss and knock it out. And now the battle once again is Trico versus Hariyama. Ash's training with Trico is panning out well here, as Trico is able to dodge a lot that is coming after him and is able to get a bunch of blows in, tiring both Pokemon out but having them fly at each other one last time with a more powerful attack, giving us this moment of tension as silence falls, and then so does Hariyama, giving Ash the win for the battle, leaving Brawly impressed. Ash is then rewarded with his second badge, the Knuckle Badge, as our time now on the island has come to an end. May gets to spend time on her contest arc, even getting herself a rival in this guy named Drew. She then enters the Slateport City Pokemon contest but ultimately doesn't win. Eventually we arrive in Mauville City, where Ash is going up against the gym leader, Watson, an electric type trainer. So obviously the right choice of Pokemon for this battle is none other than Pikachu. Well, he sure is eager and confident for some reason, as the gym leader and the rest of Ash's group, including Ash to an extent, are, no pun intended, shocked by this. But that quickly gets put to bed as Pikachu just takes all three of the gym leader's Pokemon out in one hit, from Magnemite to Voltorb and finally Magneton. While that was odd, Ash does win his third badge just like that, the Dynamo Badge, which I will admit, while Ash is surely winning these badges fully, it's nice to see how different these battles are, from learning a skill to defeat one, to then one focusing on losing a battle and building up strategy, and then to now, just being the easiest gym battle he's currently ever had. Pikachu though isn't well after this, but as he is being healed up, we learn about why he was all fired up and powerful earlier, and it was all thanks to before the battle even happened, when the group had to fight this at first thought real but turned out to be fake mechanical Raikou. It sent this high voltage throughout Pikachu after defeating it, charging him up to a new power level. During all of this, Watson is pretty bummed out. It's one thing to lose a gym battle, but it's another to lose like that, and still have the title of gym leader, feeling pretty down on himself and questioning his age and his tactics, if he's even fit for the title anymore, and now at the power plant in the area, of course there is some Team Rocket trouble going on, so the crew ends up helping out and saving the day. After this, Ash consoles a still pretty down Watson, telling him about Pikachu being overcharged, and since that was the case, Ash trying to give him back the badge. But Watson declines it, saying that he has earned it in general for also helping out at the power plant, and they both agree to have a friendly rematch one day. And as much as it's split here with this gym, with Ash technically fairly winning, but also on a weird technicality, but then also being able to be given back the badge based on just helping out, it's just a very interesting dynamic the way they set it up in this episode. But I would say the most important part is that Ash was trying to give the badge back. We've seen him decline things before, but to see him actively have won something, to then go and return it after he learns about why he won the battle, regardless if it's deemed fair or not, there's just a cool little character trait about Ash that I find truly interesting. And for now, that's the first season of the journey today, with Ash now having 3 badges out of 8 for the Hoenn region, a gang of new friends and even a returning one, plus some new Pokemon on his team to train and grow with. So before we jump into season 2, it's time for a movie break, as next we're going to take a look at the Pokemon movie, Jirachi Wishmaker.
Who's that Pokemon? It's Crobat!
Ah yes, Jirachi Wishmaker, a fun movie full of fun Pokemon of the legendary, mythical, and powerful variety. Our group here end up at the location of the festival to celebrate the once-in-a-thousand-year comet, the Millennium Comet. Wow, the name truly does fit. During the festival itself, they end up catching a performance of this magician fella named Butler, who shows off this bundle of space crystals or something that holds the mythical Pokemon Jirachi, that will only hatch out and be around for the time that the comet is in the sky, so like a week, like a solid week or something. The plot starts getting real juicy once it does hatch, and boom, Jirachi is here, and it starts taking a liking to Max, building up this strong attachment. But nefarious things happen in the middle of nowhere, as this Butler magician man has evil plans he wants to use this Jirachi for. It's like my mother always said, there's 2 types of people you can't trust, politicians and magicians. Butler is actually a misguided, talented scientist that was kicked out of Team Magma, believe it or not, all because he couldn't help them with their goal of bringing back Groudon for whatever plans they're cooking up. So now he wants to use Jirachi to do so to prove that he could do it, not stopping to think if he should do it. But he's a bit more complex than your average movie villain, aside from Mewtwo, as there is good in him and he is extremely talented, and he's even shown to be caring when it comes to his partner here, Diane. It's nice to see. Over the course of the 7 days, we see how close Max and Jirachi get, as well as get to see Absol, who is known as the disaster Pokemon. But when it comes down to the 7th day and the power Jirachi absorbs is spiking, opening up its Millennium Eye in the middle of its body. No affiliation to Yu-Gi-Oh here. But the problem with this whole operation is the Groudon that he summons, well, it isn't really Groudon, but instead this tentacle-having gelatinous glowing glob shaped like one that'll go by the name Meta Groudon. And now this is a giant threat for everyone. And Butler only wants to reverse course over his actions once Diane is put in direct danger from this. And in the end, Jirachi is just too powerful for any of this, whatever this not Groudon thing is, and explodes it, as Max has to deal with the grief in saying goodbye to his new friend for now. For the next 1,000 years, Jirachi returns to his crystal-like form and sunk back down into the earth, as Max is heartbroken, whispering his final sentiments. Butler seems to now have a new focus in his life and is clearly regretful in his actions, but Max gets one final telepathic message from Jirachi, comforting Max after his goodbye. I think what helps make this movie work in comparison to the past handful of movies is that Ash is not on center stage here. Like, yeah, he's here and he's important, but this really is a movie focusing on Max and his relationship to a mythical or legendary Pokemon of the week this time. It's something narratively different and something we see in his character of how he cares for Pokemon to an even greater extent later on in the show. Ash instead really gets to fit into this mentor role for Max, offering some true words of wisdom to help him along in the movie. In fact, he even opens up about how much he misses Misty at one point. It's truly wholesome, and it shows that as a person and as a trainer, Ash has grown. He also is the main guy who does the Pokemon fighting and stuff, so leave the action up to him while Max brings us the deeper emotions and main narrative. And I wouldn't say it's the most action-packed, danger-filled, over-the-top movie in the series yet, but it did add to all of the Jirachi hype out there around the time in general, so it got points originally for that fact alone. Also, this movie probably has one of the best jokes in the show's history.
Jirachi, get rid of the problem! Okay. She's gone.
Man, what a fun and cute little side quest this was. But it's time to continue on to the next part of the journey. Continuing on now with Advanced Challenge, we have some pretty fun moments right at the start. With not too long into the season, Misty makes a return to the show. Yes, while having her time at the gym play out through Chronicles, Misty arrives in the show with Togepi still being a cute little ball of joy. While in the show, we get to explore another anime-exclusive town, and that's the Mirage Kingdom. There's a second episode here with Misty that revolves all around Togepi and the protection of this kingdom, and it's time for you to get your tissues as the baby here is growing up, evolving into a Togetic. As to protect the kingdom, it stays behind. So we get a sad farewell with Misty saying her goodbyes. We cared for this little bundle of joy for so many years, and now we have just a little bit of closure for these two as Misty doesn't stick around like Brock did and returns home to the gym. I know this was obviously more Misty-centric here. It was just nice to see Ash and Misty interact again, really just keeping up as pals and hoping to see each other again sometime soon. May has some focus on the contest stuff and the rivalry with Drew, and Ash even battles then loses to Drew. Now we get more involved with Team Magma and Team Aqua. We're now at Mount Chimney. Both teams are there for this special meteorite bit found. Both team admins Tabitha and Shelly are there to deal with this. And of course, both teams get into a huge battle, causing quite the commotion as they engage with one another. Ash and company are in the cable cars on their way up the mountain, but it gets shut down during this whole altercation. As Ash tries to get everyone out of the car and onto this nearby tower, Team Rocket, who was in disguise originally, ruins everything, and now everyone is stranded on the car, aside from Ash, who will come back to rescue them as he finds a way to. Ash ends up running into this guy, Professor Cosmo, the one responsible for finding the meteorite, and he explains to Ash that it fell from space being a piece of a larger asteroid, and he doesn't know why either team wants it, but they're after it. Team Aqua technically retreats for now as Team Magma heads to the summit. Team Magma also has a Golbat take the meteorite from the professor as they now carry on with their plans. They end up placing the meteorite in a special machine at the summit as a laser aims down to the center of the volcano, where Ash and the professor catch up to Team Magma. He has Pikachu hit the machine with a thunderbolt to get the space rock back, but all it does is hurt the machine and give everyone an alert that, hey, right over there, yeah, this kid is messing with the device, do something about it. So the professor, in the interest of no bad guys using this thing, knocks the rock and the whole device for that matter into the volcano, and oh yeah, Ash does end up saving his friends. So for now, both teams are at bay for whatever evil plans they are up to. The heat continues to turn up as well as we enter Lava Ridge Town to meet Flannery, the gym leader, where Ash is ready to face her for his 4th badge, starting off with Ash's Corphish going up against Flannery's Macargo. Ash makes sure to hit with a powerful attack and go into a strong defense to counter, proving to be a solid type advantage as well with his confidence high, eventually being able to take out her Macargo. Ash still ends up swapping Pokemon while she sends out Slugma, losing the type advantage with Trico joining in on the fun. As Trico was holding his own for a while, he ends up getting burned, so Ash flip-flops right back to Corphish, who gets put to sleep by a yawn immediately. Ash again recalls the Corphish with Pikachu jumping in now, and is able to knock out the Slugma, leaving her with one Pokemon left, a Torkoal, which Ash may just take a liking to here. Pikachu's Iron Tail is no match for his Iron Defense, so it's no easy battle in this final stance from Flannery, with Pikachu ending up getting knocked out, leaving Trico to then get taken out as well, and Corphish to come back, waking up and figuring out how to break this defense, and just land that perfect direct attack, and ensuring a win for the battle, earning Ash his 4th badge in the Hoenn region, the Heat badge, which is great, but Ash may just need a Torkoal of his own. So now, in an area known as the Valley of Steel, the coolest name ever, Ash ends up conveniently running into one that needs help because they're in a bad situation as nothing good happens in the valley here, as this Torkoal is just constantly under attack. By the end of this fun time here, Torkoal's strength, thanks to Ash helping him realize that being scared isn't going to help him, comes in handy in being set free from a Steelix, seeming like a glance of respect was given to Torkoal as Ash wonders if Torkoal would then like to join him on his adventures. And of course, Torkoal emotionally joins on, excited to be there. We love a wholesome moment like this. Ash eventually has that friendly rematch with Watson. Ash loses, and Watson still got it, and ready to continue to be that gym leader he's worked so hard to become. A bit later on in their adventure, Ash is getting ready for gym number 5, aka Norman's gym, aka May and Max's dad. And during this training, Ash meets a guy, named Guy, who has this out-of-control Loudred, the evolved version of his Wishmer, who in an effort to help calm it down has Ash battle against it, with Trico jumping in to stop it. But the battle is intense between the two, so much so that they both evolve at the same time, with Loudred becoming Exploud and Trico becoming Grovyle. Through a big mess of an intense battle, Team Rocket getting involved in this trainer saving Exploud from danger, Exploud learns to trust Guy and starts listening to him as the battle between Grovyle and it continues. Now back at Petalburg, Ash is ready to face the father of his friends. After a bunch of experience on the road, Norman sends out Slackoth first, with Ash going up against it with Pikachu. But thanks to their first unofficial battle, he knew the key to play against speed is balance and trying to trip them up over it. That's all Norman's goal is. But Ash recalls Pikachu when things get a little bit frosty, and instead has Torkoal come out to knock out Slackoth, heating things up just a little bit. But now Torkoal has to face off against Vigoroth, and it's just too strong and gets the best of Torkoal, having Pikachu come back out for the rematch against Vigoroth. And we see all these different types of moves here that are a bit shocking to see maybe at first, especially from the Pokemon that they're coming from. This is all thanks to Norman taking Ash way more seriously in battle than most opponents. Pikachu eventually lands a nice Iron Tail hit, knocking out the Vigoroth, and this was such a tough challenge. Pikachu also faints from the amount of power used, so there can't really be anything tougher, right? Well, there is, with both their final Pokemon coming out, as Grovyle's taking up the challenge against the big, strong Slacking. And while this battle is tough on Grovyle, we even reach a point that mirrors Ash being a little too heavy on Trico, with Norman suggesting he withdraw for safety or show him what he's really made of. And with Ash's belief in Grovyle, knowing that he can do this, and that it's not pushing him too far based on all the training they've had, this encouragement helps Grovyle excel in the end, and ending up defeating the Slacking and win the 5th gym badge. The balance Max just stole the badge from Ash. He's running away and he locks himself in the greenhouse and he's yelling that his dad can't lose, there's no way. He's very emotional based on how he sees and looks up to his father, truly wanting to be like him, as we saw when we first met him pretending to be the gym leader. He struggles seeing him in a losing light, but Norman tells him that losing is just as important as winning. It's how you learn, become better, gain experience. Ash even notes that he doesn't need the badge. He can live without one, and just the experience from the battle was enough. A selfless act that is almost impossible to believe in some ways, but also very much seen in Ash's character in other ways. Max eventually comes out and gives Ash the badge, and mentions battling his father one day as well. And now Ash has officially won the Balance badge. Earlier, Ash learned about double battles, but what about tag battles? So Ash and May work together to battle with Oscar and Andy over here, and they end up losing to these two. As the rest of the episode, even when dealing with Team Rocket, they argue back and forth until defeating Team Rocket by truly coming together, with May and Ash making up for their arguments and all is right. You know how Ash also likes to just get involved in random contests or tournaments sometimes? Well, he does it again here with the Poke-Ringer competition, where it's all about flying Pokemon. Ash and his Tailo get in sync, minus the boy band, and wipe the floor with the competition, with how well they are able to complete the tasks for the tournament, as well as hold at bay the opponents and their attacks while delivering some back, with Tailo evolving into Swellow at the end, defeating James from Team Rocket in the finals and winning the competition. It would be crazy if this happened again in the next generation. We get some more fun along the journey as we meet Cast Form, and this whole Team Magma espionage plan, having this Brody fella sneak around as a Weather Institute scientist under Team Aqua's radar. But eventually, we make our way to Fort Tree City, as we meet Winona, the gym leader, and once again, Ash is ready for gym badge number 6. The arena is set, elevated up into the air. Winona has this deep connection to the sky and all of the air within it. And Altaria what? She sends out her Altaria. See what I did there? Anyway, Ash sends out Grovyle, and it's a battle of speed versus power, with Grovyle running and flipping around as Altaria tries to land some dragon-type attacks, but Grovyle finds an opening to get to Altaria to bring it down to the ground, knocking it out, with Winona genuinely impressed with how well thought out Ash's strategies with Grovyle were. Next, she sends out her Pelipper, and Ash swaps out Grovyle with Pikachu to take on the challenge. Both Pokemon seem pretty equal in their abilities and skills, that it ends up being having quite a solid battle, but both end up knocking each other out, having her Swellow come out, which is a shiny variant that goes against Ash's Grovyle, but proves to be too powerful, knocking out Grovyle, and you know what that means. It's time for Swellow v Swellow Dawn of a Gust of Wind as Ash sends out his large bird boy to fight the other shiny large big bird. And I am glad we can all tell them apart because of this. As both of these powerful aviators clash in the skies, we see the dedication and determination in both the Pokemon and their trainers to win. But in the end, Ash's Swellow lands a final wing attack, knocking out Winona's Swellow, giving Ash the win and his 6th badge, the Feather Badge. Oh, and then after this, Pikachu catches some amnesia and he ends up working for Team Rocket, but Ash will do anything for him, so Ash tries rescuing him from their air balloon, and Pikachu shocks them and they fall from above into the river below, and as they wash up out of the river, Pikachu gives him a lick on the face, Ash wakes up, and Pikachu shows that he remembers everything again. And no matter what, they will always be friends forever, and Ash shows Pikachu that even in impossible circumstances, he's going to do whatever it takes to come through in the end. Just a fun little moment here. And Ash is now only 2 badges away from completing the qualifications for the Hoenn region. May's been doing her contest stuff to some success and some losses, but the Pokemon along the way with Ash have been truly growing. Aside from a couple evolutions, the teamwork and battle strategies seem to be building up better and better each battle. So before we enter Season 3, let's take a brief break and have some time for our next movie, Destiny Deoxys.
Who's that Pokemon? It's Pelipper!
Our next film brings us Destiny Deoxys. If you thought it was fun dealing with a comet last movie, well, get ready for a full-on alien invasion. At this point on our adventures, the gang find themselves in the city of La Rousse, a high-tech area that surely feels a lot different than many of the other places that they've been to before. It even has a battle tower, but not the battle tower you're thinking of. That's something we shall get to later. Things start kicking off as they meet this kid named Tori, who ends up, well, being afraid of Pokemon. Well, I guess we have a good reason for this, because prior to the events of the movie by about 4 years, an even younger version of Tori was here in the Arctic with a professor when this meteorite crashes down, releasing Deoxys into the world, and all of this kid saw scarred him for life, almost being trampled by a bunch of these Celios and Walreins. And now, in the present day, Deoxys has come to the city to cause havoc, taking out the power in an automated city and abducting Pokemon and people. This is horrible. We have to stop this at all costs and get some power going on in the city. I think the most interesting aspect here, though, is the lack of power also affects the Pokeballs, however weird way we want to explain that, but it means that whatever Pokemon that they already have out of their Pokeballs are their only options to have out for anything right now, and they can't call on any of their other Pokemon that are still sealed inside. The conflict directly with this space alien that we all call a Pokemon for some reason is that we at first don't really know anything about it or what it wants or what it's after. Well, it turns out that all of this kidnapping of people and Pokemon was just for the fact of having a better view of looking underneath the ground to find another Deoxys. And once he does, he helps bring him out, where there are now 2 Deoxys, as now we're starting to get a good showcase of their different shape-shifting forms for attack, speed, or defense. But after that, once he finds his friend, what now? Well, action. So this angry Rayquaza who feels disturbed in the sky comes in to fight the Deoxys, as this intense battle can accidentally hurt the city around it. But the only point of this battle seems to be a Pokemon having a territorial moment rather than a deeper or more built-up reason for these Pokemon to battle. And it does all this having some incredibly fun animation, but it does have these more standout moments of substituted out 2D for 3D models. Of the two, that is just too jarring not to mention, especially with how good the 2D looked. Where this movie truly begins to differ from the other Pokemon movies is that it takes its time with the storytelling, giving you a pace that builds up through its runtime, sinking in this feeling of being anxious as this alien creature can appear and cause problems at any minute, all with this extra threat of another terrifying beast hanging out high above the earth. It secures you in as a viewer early on by giving you some incredible action through the battle tower, with Ash getting in on the excitement as well. Plus there is just a slew of extra characters with a bunch of cool Pokemon with them that are all there because of the battle tower. They add some nice dynamics to the movie and even some comedic relief, but in general they were a welcomed addition. Tori also provides a very interesting character through his fear of Pokemon that he carries. He actively is caring for Pokemon just as long as he's not in direct contact with them, but this gets challenged throughout the film with Plusle and Minot being these cute electric little guys that just want to have fun and be around him all the time, and he's struggling with that. So it's just nice to see how Tori grows throughout the film and makes some become real friends in the long run. Deoxys is a Pokemon that really fascinates me. The movie only makes me have more questions for a lot of what's going on, but in terms of how it holds up for character, there isn't too much to get from our main cast here. Tori, yeah, truly does have a great arc, but Ash and the rest of them, even the other kids that are there, are kind of just there, with not too much purpose that their character specifically had to do over another. It still in the end is a pretty fun time with some cool Pokemon and a nice pace, but it starts losing the charm towards the giant battle and the lack of standout things for the characters to do. But much like our other heroes at the end of this movie, it's time to continue our journey into the next season. Back on our journeys with Advanced Battle. Our group ends up at sea thanks to Team Rocket once again, and this time after becoming lost at sea, Maxie, the leader of Team Magma, is holding them captive as we learn that the opposing sides have captured the opposite color matching legendary Pokemon. Team Magma currently has Kyogre captured as we see some espionage happening again to awaken him from his chamber. We get some insight to what Team Magma and Team Aqua's plans are and their reasonings for this all. Maxie tells Ash that it's not for the express purposes of controlling some ancient divine beasts, but for the sake of Team Magma's goals, it's to increase the world's total landmass, as Groudon is the key to creating new land. They know that Team Aqua has Groudon and want to trade with them, but thanks to Shelly in disguise from Team Aqua, she sets Kyogre free, who swims away. And another reveal we get through this all happening is that Lance was there in disguise the whole time as a Magma Grunt, but we know him better for doing his G-Man duties, keeping a close eye on things going on. That's our boy Lance. But clearly this whole altercation with Kyogre getting free messes up the trade deal, but it's on purpose, offering no leverage from Team Magma over Team Aqua. Thanks to some rocking around the office, Pikachu ends up grabbing the blue orb that ended up flying through the air, and whoever holds it controls Groudon, but for some reason it fuses with Pikachu, making him more like a zombie Pikachu from this, one that is supercharged with power that gives them all a chance to escape, but it's still a very zombie in pain, possibly Pikachu. We see that Archie, the leader of Team Aqua, knows that Kyogre was set free and has the red orb, as now he can control Kyogre and uses him to continue this assault on Team Magma's ship. Our group makes their escape from the ship, but Ash is held back and taken captive and brought with them to some Team Magma members in a helicopter as they go to Monsu Island to meet with Team Aqua, where they try and make some negotiations for the things that they each want from each other, knowing full well that there is a lot of playing each other going on constantly. Team Rocket is around as they think that they're gonna steal Groudon and Kyogre for their boss. He'll be super happy. Yeah, okay guys, good luck with that. Anyway, Lance and Ash fully reunite as they need to stop whatever is going on and help Pikachu from the pain it's having because of the blue orb inside of him. Team Aqua has the opposite goal of Team Magma, wanting to use Kyogre to make it endlessly rain, flooding out the land masses around the globe, as we see Kyogre being fully controlled by Archie, and how he's not concerned for anyone under his command from Shelly all the way down to perish for the cause. He even fuses with the red orb just like Pikachu did with the blue one. There is this tension now building up. Lance warns of a fight between both ancients is inevitable at this point, and the consequences are world-ending. Pikachu gets pulled towards Groudon as the orb's effect is pulling at him, so he runs off as Ash is reunited with everyone else. Pikachu ends up on top of this box containing Groudon, pulling in heavy strikes of lightning from the skies down to the containment, releasing Groudon and awakening him for this battle. The raw power that these two creatures have is really beginning to shake everyone, and during this intense battle, with everyone being this important moving piece and having a role to play in it, the orbs phase out of Archie and Pikachu as Ash jumps to save a falling, passed out Pikachu as he gets a hold of him just in time, and Archie starts waking up without much memory of what's been happening. Convenient. Kyogre appears from the depths with Ash and Pikachu safe and sound, as Kyogre ended up saving them. Pikachu wakes up fine as well, as the two orbs are now in the sky, circling one another as they combine into one and disappear. Kyogre and Groudon have a mutual understanding that they aren't being controlled anymore, so there is no need to be fighting right now, and they head back to their respective territories, with Kyogre heading towards the trench, deep under the sea, and Groudon heading towards the volcano's pit. So I guess that ends the Team Aqua versus Team Magma situation, right? There's nothing else they can really do to control the beasts. Those orbs are gone, so there's really no mission anymore. There's no side story for these villains. So back to the regular journey then, I guess. Ash and company make it to Moss Deep City, where the next gym battle would be, but oops, tripped, fell, and now Max, this person named Tate, and this dude Jin are all on this spaceship that Team Rocket jacks and literally blasts off with. So yeah, that's pretty wild. See you later, Max. It was nice knowing you. It's okay, they make it back. It's a wild journey, but these two characters here, Tate and Liza, are actually the next gym leaders, as they are a duo, so it'll be a double battle. It's Solrock and Lunatone versus Pikachu and Swellow, an interesting duo for an interesting battle, as Pikachu and Swellow learn to work together really well, while Solrock and Lunatone are clumsy and bumping into each other as Tate and Liza are arguing and clearly not as focused as Ash is, so they aren't properly working together here. Team Rocket interrupts, ruining the arena. Pikachu rides Swellow to go deal with them, and the battle ends up continuing outside as Pikachu shoots thunder into the heavens, receiving a supercharged bolt of lightning back, turning our boys golden and ready for the final strike, knocking both out. And Ash celebrates by hugging his Pokemon with how great they perform together, and ends up winning his 7th badge, the Mind Badge. After this, Ash runs into Drake. No, not that Drake. No, not that one either. Yeah, that's the one. And he's a member of the Hoenn Elite Four. So yeah, Ash is going to try and battle him, but of course loses. What did you expect? Ash did what he could, but sorry, he's in the Elite Four for the region for a reason. Ash takes some more L's as well, thanks to not being able to catch this larger than normal Claydol. And you know, it's realistic not being able to catch every Pokemon you want, so I do appreciate these moments, but it's okay. Ash ends up later meeting a Snorunt with a blizzard rolling into the area, and it just likes playing tricks on him, having fun with Ash's badges, just to annoy him, so the only thought to get everything back, while being fashionable in these snow coats, is to have Snorunt join the team, offering it a battle and catching it afterwards, giving Ash a new friend, and even has this nice little talk to him about acceptable behavior after it freezes his Corphish. Adorable. Max also gets some more focus for his future Pokemon journey, as it gets a whole episode about his connection to this route, how he's helping it and gets attached to it. We get one of those emotional Pokemon songs out of nowhere, thinking that this was just a normal episode of the show, but instead I am crying for just a ridiculous amount of time. It's truly an experience. He even does the right thing in the end by letting Routes go free to its family, but vows to return for it when he is older and is actually a trainer. And it seems like the Routes is pretty into it. And I know this is Ash's journey, but yeah, I just figured, we'd mention that. So now that the crying is over, it's time for the final badge as we get to Satopolis City, where Ash will face off against the gym leader, Juan. The battlefield here is a giant swimming pool, and the battle will be, well, different than most others, as we first start off with a double battle and later we'll have a single battle, with Juan having Celio and Seaking out against Ash's Pikachu and Snorunt, where thanks to a combo of Icy Wind from Snorunt and Pikachu using it as a running pad for Iron Tail, this seems like it could be good, but it's not going to be that simple, with Snorunt taking a direct hit from a Hyper Beam and is just out of the match already. Sending in Corphish now to help Pikachu, and they do their best to work together. Pikachu gets a shot and lands a solid Iron Tail on Seaking, knocking him out, while Pikachu is now surfing Corphish with ice balls being chucked at it from the Celio. Corphish and Pikachu have to use some solid strategy and teamwork here so that Pikachu can help distract the Celio and Corphish can get in close for a powerful direct hit, knocking it out. Now from this, the battlefield changes into something larger, a full-on lake now, as for the single battle is starting. Ash gets ready his Grovyle to go up against Love Disc, but Grovyle gets hit with a Sweet Kiss, and now depending on the effects of this and if it controls him or not, Ash might not be in the best spot here. It actually ends up confusing Grovyle, and before Ash can even recall him, he ends up getting knocked out. So back out goes Corphish, and he even uses a strategy Brawly used on him by hitting the water extremely hard in a certain way, sending Love Disc flying into the air, and Corphish is now able to grab it and defeat it. Can't say the same when Wish Cash comes out, as this powerful fish knocks out Corphish very quickly, leaving Ash with Swellow to come out and face the earth-shaking fish, hitting it with an Aerial Ace and taking it out, leaving Juan on his final Pokemon, a specific Pokemon that shouldn't be taken lightly, Milotic. It appears, and while Swellow holds this serpent off for a while, Milotic's Twisters take him out, bringing Ash to just Pikachu. Good old faithful. Using the terrain to Pikachu's advantage after some very tough to dodge attacks, Pikachu grabs onto Milotic, who dives under the water, bringing him along as now Pikachu uses Thunder, creating a massive shock explosion that now above the water has Pikachu still able to fight, but Milotic completely fainted, giving Ash the win and his 8th and final badge for the Hoenn region, the Rain Badge. Ash will now be able to enter the Hoenn League, but like usual, there is a few month wait until this happens, giving us some time for some filler episodes, which again, filler can be fun and great. A lot of this time is just Ash training, especially with Snorunt being, well, the runt of the group in terms of battle experience and power. May gets to spend time with the contest stuff, so I guess that all works out. We meet some new potential rivals for Ash, like Morrison and Tyson has a literal own Puss in Boots. In the the form of this cute little Meowth. And eventually, Ash's Snorunt evolves into a Glalie as it becomes a lot more powerful. Also, May gets a Munchlax, another example of Pokemon having a Pokemon from the next generation in an earlier one, with Munchlax being a Gen 4 Pokemon and also the pre-evolution of Snorlax. But now it's time for the championship to start. Ash is all registered and ready to go, but of course, like tradition, the Sacred Flame is being tampered with. It's thanks to Team Rocket, and all of the heroes and even Tyson help stop them to save the Sacred Flame. It's just part of the events now, something that always happens with the darn flame. Throughout the series of upcoming battles, I like how we focus on Ash, Morrison, and Tyson traveling up the ranks through them and supporting each other. So yes, Ash is able to beat his opponent for the preliminary round like the others do, where Pikachu ends up defeating a Hitmonlee. The next set of battles for everyone is a double battle, so Morrison and Tyson win their battles, but for Ash, he has to face off against Atropius and Swalot with his Corphish and Torkoal. And as Torkoal is able to take out the Tropius and himself, Corphish has to stand against Swalot, and he sure does swallow a lot because he's getting filled with bubbles and explodes inside, causing him to pass out, so Ash moves on as well. Another set of doubles come and go real quick. Everyone advances as Ash had his Grovyle and Glalie fighting a Quilava and Charizard, and these two are no match for Ash's duo here. Now, things get more rough for this round because full battles are starting, having Ash go up against this trainer named Katie. First, it's Torkoal versus Venomoth, and they have at it until she ends up calling it back and now continues with Golduck to take out Torkoal swiftly with a barrage of attacks. Pikachu enters the fight as she swaps out Golduck for Dugtrio, and Pikachu ends up getting taken out by surprise. Things don't look too good for Ash here, but he then sends out Glalie, who takes out the Dugtrio and the following Mischievous, but then also faints himself, so that's fun. The battle continues with Corphish and the Golduck coming back, and this fight is the most intense yet. Lots of flinging around the arena, lots of energy used for attacks, but in the end, Corphish has done the unthinkable and created a school survival guide for... Sorry, that's a different video I'm doing. Anyway, Venomoth is back. I know swapping in and out Pokemon is a strategy, but I find it so annoying and I probably very much dislike you if this is how you play. Where's the commitment? Ash swaps out as well and brings out Swellow, who can take out the Venomoth, as next, Scizor comes out, and after a pretty back and forth battle between two strong Pokemon here, Swellow edges out the win, knocking out Scizor, leaving Katie with her last Pokemon, a Walrein, who is her most powerful Pokemon. So it takes out Swellow, then Corphish easily back to back, with Grovyle remaining, and this little Grovyle has that dog in him, proving once again that proper training from both a physical and mental standpoint has real results, as Ash gets in the final order for him to slice straight up at the last second to take out the Walrein, winning the battle, and now they can all move on to the final 16, where Ash will now have to face Morrison head on, with Corphish leading against a Girafarig, where Ash gets the first win taking out the Girafarig, as Morrison is not fully all there right now, kind of overthinking this battle or how to change strategies on the fly here, ending up sitting there in a state of shock, not knowing what to do, and he risks being disqualified because of this. Ash encourages him to keep battling regardless of how friendly they are with each other. He wants him to go all out and deliver a good battle. So Morrison starts trying to get into the hang of things. So he sends out Growlithe, but Corphish also takes out Growlithe as well, pretty easily. So Ash keeps egging Morrison on even harder to just truly take this seriously, really laying into him, as it then sparks a flame again, as he now sends out Swampert, which takes out the Corphish, but then also gets knocked out. Pikachu now comes out going up against his Steelix, and yeah, Pikachu gets more than he bargained for, being defeated. Don't worry though, Ash still has Torkoal. Never mind, Steelix took him out too. What a good callback from the first time we met Ash's Torkoal. Now Grovyle comes out to the party taking out Steelix, but then loses to his next Pokemon, which was Gligar. So in response, Swellow comes out strong, and they end up knocking out each other. One Pokemon left each, a Metang against Ash's Glalie, who ends up with a solid finishing blow on Metang, giving Ash the win and entrance into the top 8. His next opponent is Tyson, naturally, and Ash starts with his Glalie as Tyson sends out a Sceptile. But once again, we see another double knockout extremely fast as then Shiftry and Torkoal face off. Torkoal really pulled a Troy Bolton and got his head in the game, and got a win over the Shiftry, but then lost focus and wasn't strong enough for Hariyama, who defeats him. Ash sends out out Corfish, but Corfish gets defeated as well. So Swellow is ready for action now with Aerial Ace, as that rarely ever fails, taking out the Hariyama and giving us a Donphan to see continue the battle, but Swellow is on that high of winning, coming down for seconds and defeating the Donphan. Man, Ash's Swellow is just on another level. But Tyson sends out a heavy hitter next with Metagross, and yeah, this juggernaut of a Pokemon steamrolls Swellow, and then as a follow-up steamrolls Grovyle as well, having Pikachu left who does everything he can, sending massive attacks to ultimately defeat the beast. But now the legend of Meowth comes out, and while we just see a Meowth here in retrospect, right, it's just a Meowth, might have a cute outfit, it's just still a Meowth, this one in particular is no joke himself, being able to fight extremely well against Pikachu, evenly matching blows, but in the end gets the upper hand with its own Iron Tail, resulting in Pikachu's defeat. It's kind of poetic in a way, starting off the series with Pikachu defeating Roxanne with that move, only to lose to it in the championship. A nice congratulations is in order as Tyson goes on to win the whole thing. From there we get a bit of a split off though, with May and Max heading home for a moment, as Brock heads back to Pewter City and Ash learns about the Battle Frontier, a special area that's also tied into the games as well, that Ash gets alerted to and can visit. And for us, it gives us a 4th season. But Ash, for now, goes home to Pallet, but first see Misty and check in on her, which is sweet. But now we just have fun back home, where we see new Pokemon hanging with old Pokemon, and all of the fun characters we've come to know and love throughout the series so far, just having a nice time together. May wants to travel through Kanto for some more contests. Ash leaves a few Pokemon at the ranch with Oak, see you later Torkoal and Glalie, but he does end up grabbing Phanpy to join the team once more, so that's exciting. But now to get to the Battle Frontier that is located near Cerulean City for some reason, the whole gang rolls deep together, continuing their journey now back in Kanto. Now, the season has a weird split here, so I think cutting it right here and having everything that has to do with Battle Frontier in the Battle Frontier season just seems a bit better. But before we get to that, it's time yet for another movie break, this time with Lucario and the Mystery of Mew.
Pokemon will be right back. And now, back to Pokemon.
Oh man, Lucario and the Mystery of Mew. I watched this movie so many times when it came out because this piece of furry bait on the cover was a brand new Pokemon that would be coming in the 4th generation, as we got teased for this movie seeing the return of Mew again. Some sort of Pokemon war, some cool costumes for the characters, just a whole lot is going on here. Now, while I may not love a Renaissance theming for many other things, here in Pokemon, it's simply pleasant. Yeah, let's go with that word. As we head to the Cameron Palace in honor of celebrating the hero of legend for the kingdom, Sir Aaron, who was in Aura Guardian. There is a Hero of the Year tournament, and of course that has Ash's name all over it to be a part of it. And when they are there, Ash is in cosplay, I mean in an outfit similar to Sir Aaron, and is able to wield an old magical staff owned by Sir Aaron that summons to life a Lucario from back then, shocking everyone. But Lucario may have some more insight into who Sir Aaron truly was all along, and oh boy, Mew is here. Now it's a party. Meowth was just turning up a little bit too much. Gotta say, lay off the catnip there, bud. But this Mew is also a thief? Or kidnapper, or is it Pokenapped? Whatever. Mew takes Pikachu and Meowth away for some reason, and Ash and company, now assisted by Lucario, head to the Tree of Beginning to track them down and get them back. While this whole rescuing Pikachu thing, and I guess Meowth as well, has some importance to the characters, story-wise, it's just something to push us towards the next big moment. What is the reasoning for all of this? Why did Mew do such a thing? This rescue quest does bring us some intense roadblocks to battle, mainly the Reggies here just talking their gibberish smack talk and blowing things up. A side thing is this other character, Kid Summers, who is researching the Mystery of Mew. Oh, okay, now the name makes sense. I get it. And while the mystery is cool for the most part, and it drives the real narrative with Mew's involvement here, I wouldn't say it would blow your socks off, but rather mildly breeze by them. And Mew really just needs some help here at the end of the day. But hey, as long as we get another Ash is dead so Pikachu is sad but he's not really dead scene, I love crying for 2 minutes. But the big stuff that really makes the movie is getting to the final bit of information that completes everything with Lucario, and what missing moments from his past he can't recall or thinks happened. Lucario in general is truly a force to be reckoned with, as Pokemon knew what type of bait they were laying out. A moody, living on the edge, blue anthropomorphic dog that can shoot out aura beams from its hands. No wonder they got the voice of Goku for this role, it just makes sense. He's a standout Pokemon from his power and ability to communicate, but just in general, a really cool addition to the story to bridge the truth of the past with the reality of the future. He's more than just a Pokemon here to help out or be in the main story because he's a Pokemon, but instead because he's a character, a fleshed out character that has some repressed issues and story beats that take us back to the past to learn about Sir Aaron and what was happening back then, as well as helping understand and unlock something in Ash that he didn't know he had in him the whole time. Aura. Yeah, okay, you know what? With everything he's been through and done throughout his journey so far, I believe it. Full on superhero. Ash is a superhero. He has superpowers. He's a superhero. But with the past story bringing us right at the start of the film some incredible fantasy narrative where Pokemon feel like they fit in so well amongst the story being told, it just feels that much more interesting as we try to figure out why Lucario comes back with negative feelings towards Sir Aaron when we see so much good and hear so much good about him. These tension-filled moments lead to Ash and Lucario getting into some arguments, and then a full-on fight as they wrestle one another for a moment, and you almost forget that he is literally just in physical combat with a Pokemon himself. But trust me, getting to the answers Lucario needed to understand to get the full picture is incredible. The way he is able to get his closure and even give us, the viewers, an emotional end to his story is great, with Ash doing what he can to help him do so, ending their time together with mutual respect. Plus, just hearing about and seeing some glimpses of a Pokemon War is just pretty intense, and if there was more going into that, it sounds like an interesting thing to pick apart. And there's also a Weavile here, another Gen 4 Pokemon,
And Bosley, and Mime Jr.
that we get introduced to early. This is another film for Pokemon that I hold pretty high up there as it's just that good. The story is engaging, the conflicts are suspenseful, and the adventure, dare I say, is adventurous. I ended up really becoming a fan of Lucario because of the film, and no, I am not a furry, okay? You know what? We're moving on. Back to the journey. Now for the final arc of the generation, Battle Frontier, which just like the games, feels like a small extra bonus for us to have a little bit of fun with at the end. But it feels a lot less exciting because we already have gone through what feels like a finale. That being said, things do start out pretty fun. As we arrive at the Battle Factory, Ash looks to take on the first Frontier Brain, Factory Head Nolan. And none other than Charizard makes his return from the valley to support Ash in a battle here, as Nolan would have a freaking Articuno. Is that even legal? Who does he think he is, that guy from the second movie? Well, Charizard is a nice addition to have back for a fun battle overall, so getting to see him battle with Ash again after so long was surely a nice treat, and made the fight a lot more exciting. Overall, pretty intense as Charizard, after a crazy tough fight, manages to take out Articuno and win this one-on-one match. We also can see how much Charizard has trained and learned since we last saw him. And now for winning, similar to a badge, Ash receives a Frontier symbol, this one being the knowledge symbol, as well as he is given a Frontier folio to house the symbols in. Then Charizard leaves once more to the valley, as it was just a brief but nice time seeing such a good orange, technically not dragon. Okay, well, the first place, the Battle Factory, was near Cerulean. All of the other main locations are set near different areas, so that means we have lots more traveling to do in between the challenges. May is still doing her contest thing, and I'll bring up Harley now. Just briefly, he's this Cacturn cosplay getup guy. We meet him way earlier, but since we have a breather right now, I wanted to make sure that I don't forget to mention that he at least exists. Ash also gets his Snorlax back on the team for a bit, which after the other 3 seasons, it's nice to see some familiar faces from the past come back out to play. The group finds the battle arena, which was near Saffron City, as Ash will go up against the next Frontier Brain, Arena Tycoon Greta, as she will have a battle with Ash, where she has a Hariyama and Medicham. So Ash will have Grovyle and Snorlax ready for this fight. Grovyle goes to take on Hariyama, and while he puts up a strong fight like he's known for, Hariyama is just too strong regardless of how fast Grovyle is. Snorlax comes out next and ice punches Hariyama for a knockout, turning the tides from losing to even, with Medicham entering the battle. Ash learns to pull back on offense attacks, sometimes here, and use a smart defense for a counter by letting Snorlax rest for a moment to heal back up, and as the energy levels are flying high, so is Snorlax, slamming down with a body slam on Medicham and winning the match. Ash is the winner and earns his next symbol, the Guts symbol, now with the journey ahead to the Battle Dome near Lavender Town. Here, Ash faces the next Frontier Brain with Dome Ace Tucker, who challenges with a double battle having Arcanine and a Swampert, 2 pretty powerful Pokemon at the ready to take on Ash's Swellow and Corphish. And yes, power-wise, the odds were stacked against Ash, but thanks to him truly knowing how to use the tactics and strategies right for his Pokemon, specifically the ones he's been training with for them, but now having these two unique Pokemon paired together, Ash is able to defeat them both, having him become the winner, earning the tactics symbol, and for sure he truly earned this one because of the name. Next, Ash heads towards the Battle Pike near Fuchsia City, but along the way, his Phanpy that he brought with him finally evolves into a Donphan, which is just nice to see, calling all the way back to the first movie where we first see a Donphan premiere against Ash in a battle, to now him having his own. You just love to see it. We even get some time with Celebi in the anime itself, as it's helping Pokemon in a forest fire as we meet a Pokemon Ranger named Solana. And if I could spend hours talking about the Pokemon Ranger games, I would, maybe on the gaming channel someday. But we get this nice connection of building what a Pokemon Ranger does as our characters interact with and help out the Ranger on their mission. Brock also gets a Gen 4 Pokemon early in the form of another pre-evolution, with it being Bonsly, which are the pre-evolution of Sudowoodo. But now at the Battle Pike, Ash gets to face the 4th Frontier Brain Pike Queen Lucy. Well, first we have to deal with Team Rocket, but then he can battle Lucy with Ash's Donphan taking on her Survivor and taking it out. But her second Serpent Pokemon is Milotic, which we are familiar with how powerful this Pokemon can be, especially as it takes out Donphan, leaving Pikachu to face off against Milotic once more. Pikachu squeezes out the win though, and Ash gets the luck symbol, but no luck was had doing this. This was pure skill. Okay, maybe a bit of luck in there. They now head for the Battle Palace on Metallica Island. Yes, you heard that right. But along the way, the group gets involved in an orienteering competition where contestants get this map of Potpourri Island, where you must locate 5 checkpoints representing 5 Pokemon to receive a stamped silhouette of that Pokemon. And the first team to complete getting all of the stamps and get to the Pokemon Center is declared the winner of this little side quest here. And surprisingly, James and his Mime Jr., yes, another Gen 4 baby Evo Pokemon that this time would turn into Mr. Mime, ends up winning. So a good win for him. And not too long after, Ash's Grovyle evolves into a Sceptile, and he is in love with this Meganium, who rejects him, and now Sceptile can't perform any attacks. I'm sure this won't be too big of a problem, right? Wrong. Yes, this carries on even further as Ash tries to comfort the big fella here, but he runs off with Ash wanting to help in any way he can. Not just to get his powerful Pokemon back, but to help his Pokemon buddy here. Eventually, through a fun adventure together, Sceptile seems all good once more and is able to perform his attacks again. And that's great because now we have to deal with the next Frontier Brain, Alice Maven Spencer, where Ash now has Heracross on his team again, which is good to see, but this becomes a battle amongst the trees. And while we get to see a variety of a lot of fun Pokemon here going back and forth, in the end it's down to Sceptile and Claydol, where Sceptile absorbs the sunlight, becoming more energized and focused, being able to avoid a Hyper Beam and use the sun to Solar Beam Claydol for a win in the battle, which gives Ash his next symbol, the Spirit symbol. Jumping to the next part of the challenges, Ash arrives at the Battle Tower to face the 6th Frontier Brain, Salon Maiden Annabelle, where Ash grabs a Tauros for his team now for good measure, but this battle though is pretty tough as her Alakazam takes out Ash's Corphish and his Tauros, but Pikachu steps in to take the Alakazam down. But now she has a Metagross, like, come on. These are truly the premium high-tier battles that any trainer needs years training for. Sure, Pikachu has beaten a Metagross before, but this one is just a lot more powerful and it knocks out Pikachu, resulting in Ash losing for the first time in the Battle Frontier. But we know that Ash will come back the next day, ready to fight again, and now Corphish ends up with the win against Alakazam, but not the Metagross. But hey, let's give Tauros some credit here. He held out in a tough battle with Metagross as we end that match in a draw, leaving one final Pokemon left each, with Ash using Pikachu and Annabelle using Espeon. And after a little while, some back and forth, Pikachu lands a solid Volt Tackle, knocking Espeon out, and Ash claiming the victory against Annabelle and him receiving the ability symbol. Now it's time to head to the Battle Pyramid near Pewter City. On the way, we get some more Pokemon Ranger goodness, as aside from dealing with some Deoxys in the movie that we spoke about earlier, Ash and company deal with some more once again, helping out the Ranger in this 2-part special event that feels like another mini-movie that that features Deoxys in it, so for what it's worth, it's neat. We then get to Pewter City, and before heading to the pyramid, the group spends some time with Brock's family, as we get to learn about how things are going here at the gym, and that Onyx is now a Steelix, so that's exciting. Things, though, do get a bit weird here, but that makes it fun, right? When Ash enters the battle pyramid to face off against the last Frontier Brain Pyramid King Brandon, Ash in a different part of the pyramid gets possessed by the king of Pokelantis. This is real, and to save him from this, Brandon battles Ash's Sceptile with a Regirock and defeats him. While Ash technically loses, it was to help him out of this possessed state, and he will get a real match anyway. And in the end of this episode, Ash sees Ho-Oh for a third time, which is pretty cool to see from a viewer standpoint. In the meantime, between this moment and his next battle with Brandon, Ash notices an Aipom following the group, traveling around with them, and he's kind to it. But it likes to steal Ash's hat and continues to follow them nevertheless. He tries to catch it, but fails for now, but eventually he does get the chance to catch him, and Aipom becomes an official member of Ash's team. The battle pyramid has moved though, so Ash heads now to the Fennel Valley, and Aipom already gets sent to the Oak Ranch, where Torkoal comes back to the team, going head on against Brandon once more at the pyramid. But even if Torkoal holds his own for a bit, he still loses. I mean, he's using a Registeel. This is the second Reggie. He's using another Reggie. And Brandon mentions that once Ash is able to fight as one with his Pokemon, then he will truly be ready and have a shot at winning. In the meantime, we get some more seeds planted for the next region. Maybe Brandon has something to do with a character that'll be in the next generation. But we also get this postcard from Gary regarding the Sinnoh region, which it's nice to hear from Gary after so long. Misty also sends him this nice fishing lure. And if we look back to when Ash first met Misty, she hooked him in on her fishing lure, pulling them out of the water. So that's pretty symbolic. Ash also then swaps his Torkoal back for Aipom. Ash, though, is getting ready for this final battle with Brandon. One more chance to actually win, prove that he is a trainer who is one with his Pokemon. We get a lot of OGs coming back, with Bulbasaur coming through from Tracy, Squirtle returns from the Squirtle squad, and Charizard once again makes an appearance joining Ash. And now it's time for their battle to take place. Brandon sends out a Dusclops, now with Charizard stepping out first. If Ash can actually beat this battle, he will be entered into the Hall of Fame, so it is kind of a big deal. Charizard is strong and does what he can, but Dusclops gets the upper hand here, taking out one of Ash's most powerful Pokemon. So Bulbasaur comes out now, and just like Sceptile, throughout this past series, he has that dog in him as well and takes the win. Brandon sends out Ninjask, so Ash swaps out for Squirtle, who still has that Skull Bash power to take it out, with Solrock getting quick revenge on the Squirtle. So Bulbasaur comes back out and risks it all for a double knockout, where it's down to Ash's Pikachu and our third Reggie, Regice. And just knowing how things have gone before, yeah, this is not going to be an easy feat, and it truly wasn't, but Pikachu eventually gets the upper hand here after all these powerful attacks, and defeats Regice, giving Ash his official win, earning the Brave symbol and entering the Hall of Fame for the Battle Frontier, as all of his OG starter Mon head back to where they originally came from. Ash was also offered a role as a Frontier Brain, but knowing his own journey and where he feels he's at skill-wise, he declines the position, and Brandon wishes to battle him once again at some point, and I'm sure we may just see him again, maybe in the next video. To round out the end of Battle Frontier, Ash enters into his first Pokemon contest with May, while she finally has a Blaziken with her Torchic now fully evolved up. In the final round of the contest, Ash and May end their competition in a draw, so the medal that they win gets split in half as they celebrate the win, since it's just a contest more so for fun, being an unofficial one. But now it's time for characters to part ways. May ends up going to finally check out the Johto region all on her own, as Max and May head back to their home first. Brock goes home for now, and Ash ends up running into Gary on his way back, who now has a brand new Generation 4 Pokemon with him, Electivire. As of course, in Pallet Town they have a nice battle just like old times, but Ash loses, giving him that itch to experience another new region full of powerful Pokemon, as Gary would also head back out that direction. Ash gets a new Pokedex from Oak and prepares to head to the Sinnoh region as well, only taking Pikachu at first. But on the boat, a stowaway came along, and it's none other than that pesky little Aipom. The boat heads right towards the Sinnoh region for another brand new adventure for Ash to go on, but we're not done yet. We now get to have another movie break and discuss a movie that features one of my favorite Pokemon, Manaphy, where this film would tie in with the whole Ranger stuff as well. Pokemon Ranger and the Temple of the Sea.
It's Pokemon Battle Frontier. Catch the hour-long premiere September 9th at 9.
Our final movie of the day, Pokemon Ranger and the Temple of the Sea. Man, do I love me some Pokemon Ranger video games, so you bet I was excited for anything involving Rangers and Pokemon media. Plus, Manaphy. The first Ranger game being the catalyst for my love for Manaphy, as you could receive a mysterious egg from that game, transfer it to Diamond or Pearl, and then hatch it into a Manaphy. And then having this movie, I mean, come on. Double whammy for my interest in this little blue cutie. Once again, Gen 4 is really leaking into the 3rd gen here, but that's okay, I'll take Manaphy early, thank you. Ash and the crew, for some reason, get a ride with a traveling circus, where Pokemon Ranger Jack Walker gets everyone tangled up in a giant mess as he is involved in some back and forth with an evil pirate named the Phantom. Oh, now that's spooky. The whole issue is over this weird looking egg. It's not your average egg, it's translucent, and only 35 calories. But this is the egg of the prince, a mystical sea egg that turns into, yeah, you guessed it, Manaphy. And May is the one who holds Manaphy as it hatches, as it now feels comfort with her. Yes, another movie like Jirachi, where the main big Pokemon focuses on a character that isn't Ash, which is good to just kind of do every once in a while. You know, change it up, give the other characters a turn at the spotlight. Now, it's kind of an escort mission for a while to help Manaphy get to this ancient sea temple and staying out of the hands of the Phantom. But it honestly has this vibe of action and adventure, but more so in the realm of go here, do this, watch out for those guys, discover something ancient and secret, run away from these things type of feel, if you catch my drift. There's treasure on the line with this hidden temple that clearly the Phantom is after. So there is this important pacing to the film that keeps you going and keeps delivering with constant moments of clashing to keep you invested. Our main characters here aren't really the main focus, but more so the vessel to help tell this background story, and they are just slightly tangled in it now. I like it. Jack's story as a ranger is awesome. He's the cheesiest hero around and a hoot to watch. May and Max get a big reveal about their relationship to the people of the water, as well as a focus here on May, giving us these breathtaking underwater moments, as well as a huge importance into looking over Manaphy. Now, back when this came out, there was a lot of speculation that this feels awkward, since this feels more written for Misty. So a lot of people may fight for that and call out May not deserving this, but I just take it at face value of what the movie on its own is offering. Ash kind of steals the role of playing hero in the end instead of doing something more meaningful, but it was all in the effort to be like the Rangers, and then he pulls this supersonic thing and does a bunch of this, and hey, that's cool, you know, pop off, and oh look, everyone can do it now. This is truly one of the shots of animation of all time. And speaking of animation, the animation here is just so gorgeous, from the movement under the water to just the sheer amount of underwater Pokemon swimming around. It feels lived in and real, with a lot of love and effort poured into the visuals to deliver a pretty special experience. It tugs at your heartstrings at the end, it's super sweet, and it's extremely beautiful. Sure, was this just a movie to sell you on the Pokemon Ranger games some more? Yeah, probably. But does that mean they made something that isn't good just to do that? No, not at all. In fact, this should sell you on the games, if anything. While we focus on May mainly for the lead here, more so than Ash, it's also really a movie just about Jack, the Pokemon Ranger, as well as the descendants of the water people, as we see here through characters like Elizabeth and Meredith. While in the end this isn't my favorite Pokemon movie, I do think it is an incredibly fun Pokemon movie that brings such a pleasant watery vibe with incredible visuals, a fun charming adventure, and my favorite little blue bean. And it's just fantastic. But with that being said, that was the break point for today's journey, as now we need to discuss the Pokemon on the journey. Now, we spent a lot of time in the last couple parts speaking about the same Pokemon for the most part, and a lot of the returning Pokemon who end up making appearances, especially in the final season here, all have shown to have grown in their time apart from Ash, so it's great to see how well things are actually going for them. Some Pokemon like Heracross or a Tauros get to come back for a bit, show a little bit of shine. And we even have Phanpy returning as it evolves into a Donphan. Seeing Ash and his older Pokemon interact is always a treat, but I like that for the majority of this series, we relied only on new Pokemon for Ash to forge new friendships with and gain new battle strategies and experiences with, more so by making sure he just stuck with what was new. Tailo was great for Ash as he constantly has this perfect relationship with bird Pokemon that he trains. As Tailo becomes a Swellow, the mastery on display of having this aerial ace up his sleeve, ready and eager for a fun battle battle at a moment's notice is truly magnificent. They have a great relationship, and the bird loves to bask in celebrations alongside Ash when around, so I'd say it was mainly wholesome, but Swellow was just a soaring powerhouse for Ash. Trico was a very interesting Pokemon for Ash to grow with, a Pokemon that earned its respect but made Ash earn his. As Trico wanted to grow, he wanted to be strong and train and become a fierce and focused fighter, going through ups and downs with Ash when being pushed too far sometimes, but is able to be alongside of Ash, growing in these strategies to be a more calculated trainer, producing a more calculated fighter. Through this focus, Trico is able to blend together his raw strength and his speed, eventually evolving into a Grovyle and unlocking more strategies and pushing his abilities further, and in the end becoming a powerful Sceptile that truly earned every challenge they won. Corphish was always just kind of fun to see because of his little tempers that he would have, being a mixed bag of how the performance could go, having some powerful attacks for sure, but sometimes not being able to take that much damage, resulting in a bunch of losses. But overall, he was a solid addition to Ash's team, and I have a soft spot for this little guy. He acts tougher than he looks, and he can back it up sometimes too, working well under Ash's command for battles. Torkoal, while powerful and just overall thankful to Ash, he can truly be the difference of winning a tough battle or being the result of an easy knockout for the opponent. But under Ash, he was able to conquer these scaredy-cat tendencies and really embrace standing his ground and fighting back, so you love to see it. Snorunt served as this little fun prankster Pokemon that would find some strength in battles when evolving into Glalie, coming in handy for some tough matches, as listening to Ash's commands was able to do a lot better than before, especially when they first started training together. Apom, well, he just kind of recently came around. He's there, but next series we will speak on him more so. Pikachu definitely had a lot of growth in battle here for Ash. While being used more sparingly, Pikachu mastering Iron Tail and combining some good agility to take down many of the opponents was awesome. We see how powerful Pikachu is becoming, but outside of battle stats, Ash and Pikachu go through a lot in this region. Starting off with him being sick at the beginning of the series, at one point getting amnesia, at one point being possessed by an orb, you name it, Pikachu has been through it. But more importantly, Ash has been there every single time to catch him and to be there for him, as their bond transcends anything else. Ash has a few moments of being rocky as a trainer with his Pokemon here. For sure, a lot less than we've seen before, but it's nice to see him have a lot of growth, but still has these struggles in certain aspects that he actively continues to learn from. Some lessons are repetitive, sure, but the entertainment aspects serve the story in some way, but was also a bit random in others just for the sake of having something happen. But through these battles with his Pokemon, Ash grew a lot and helped grow so many others along the way. Character-wise, the series paid some nice respect to legacy characters such as Misty, who gets some moments here and there, but it was still the same Misty for the most part. Brock was fun to have along the journey once more, as his want to explore and be with Ash was truly important to him. We see how he is able to truly analyze battles from his experiences and knowledge of Pokemon, offering advice to Ash, but ultimately just being a great friend to him. May is a pretty strong character to add to the show, being different from Misty in her approach to dealing with Ash on the journey. While they do have arguments and some more heated moments, she mainly spends her time worrying about her own Pokemon events and rivalries that make following her side quests from Ash's journey truly a fun time. Max is pretty much a new type of add to the group, but a welcomed one for sure, giving an even younger but super knowledgeable perspective to things, as he gets a first-hand account of what it takes to become a Pokemon master. It's not easy, and there's a long journey ahead for Max, so thanks to people like his father, the gym leader, and Ash, heck, include his sister in there as well, and Brock, serving as role models to help guide him. There was a special episode of the Pokemon anime that came out to celebrate the franchise's 10th anniversary, where in fact it was first shown in the US before Japan would get it 6 months later. The Mastermind of Mirage Pokemon. This sees a major celebration that takes place in the 3rd generation of the show around the Battle Frontier arc, thanks to all the characters traveling together and it being located in the Kanto region. It just sounds like it makes sense to me to fit right there. Here in this special, we deal with a researcher named Dr. Young, who at the Mirage Mansion animation shows off the name being true, with hologram projections of Pokemon being shown. He calls them Mirage Pokemon, and they can operate just as real Pokemon, allowing for battles to commence to any Pokemon you can imagine, just by tweaking the code. But a mysterious masked man going by the name of the Mirage Master somehow shows up and takes control of the Mirage system, and does evil things with this control. Now, through all of this, we get to see a bunch of Mirage versions of legendary and powerful Pokemon we've met before, but celebrating them in a way by seeing them all in one special for the anniversary. It's a little less special with them all being Mirage versions, except for Mew. There's more here with this Mew. But it makes sense in the effort of having them all here along with our main cast being involved. Surprise, surprise, Dr. Young is behind everything and in the end refuses to turn himself in, walking into the burning down mansion as it falls apart and disappears with no evidence of where he went. Maybe even he himself was a mirage, as he himself saw the Mirage Pokemon as these perfect form of flawed Pokemon. Being able to extract the soul and digitally have the Mirage Pokemon as the perfect version of what they could ever be. But real life, nature, all of it breeds flaws. That's what makes it real, as opposed to this perfectly sculpted and AI system. It's a small little special that I feel gets forgotten about, but it's not bad for what it is. And for a bonus animation for the anniversary at the time, it's just generally really cool to see. At this point with the special and with the Battle Frontier season, as well as the Pokemon Ranger movie, the separation of Pokemon and 4Kids had happened, where the Pokemon Company International would now have the rights and control over the English version of the anime. And with the original cast basically under the 4Kids banner, voices here changed, and this is where Ash became voiced by my friend Sarah Natacheni. And this truly marks the start of the future of Pokemon hard-cutting the vintage original era to the rest of the eras moving forward. Speaking of moving forward, next time on our complete guide to Ash's journey, we enter Generation 4 with the Sinnoh region, telling Ash's tales from its 4 seasons, gaining a new companion, and I guess a returning buddy as well, as we start the Diamond and Pearl series. Let me know your thoughts on the Ruby and Sapphire series, what arcs or moments were your favorite, and which movie from today did you personally enjoy the most? Tell me in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching, like and subscribe for more. Later.